Hezbollah's acting leader is vowing to continue the fight against Israel, warning that the terror group is ready for a long war, even after a series of devastating strikes wiped out much of its top command. That includes Hassan Nasrallah, Hezbollah's longtime leader, killed in a blast in Beirut on Friday. Here's Secretary of State Antony Blinken earlier today.
Hassan Nasrallah was a brutal terrorist whose many victims included Americans, Israelis, civilians in Lebanon, civilians in Syria, and many others as well. During his leadership of Hezbollah, the group terrorized people across the region and prevented Lebanon from fully moving forward as a country. Lebanon, the region, the world are safer without him.
Joining us now, Matthew Levitt, director of the Stein Program on Counterterrorism and Intelligence and author of Hezbollah, the Global Footprint of Lebanon's Party of God. It's so good to have you here. Look, obviously, Hezbollah lost Nasrallah. They lost their headquarters. They've lost multiple commanders. They were reeling from those walkie-talkie and pager explosions. So what is the status of this terror organization now? Do you see them recovering?
Thanks for having me on the show. Look, Hezbollah that existed 8-9 days ago does not exist anymore. It may be able to recover in time, but that would take a significant amount of time because we're not talking about a decapitation strategy here. We're not talking about just the loss of Nasrallah himself, which is significant. We're talking about open heart surgery. We're talking about the loss of their headquarters command center. We're talking about not just the top, but the second, third, and fourth tier of their operational commanders gone. We're talking about the loss of significant amount, that we don't know how much, but a significant amount of their launchers and their rockets, their communications. They are not as prepared today as they were just a few days ago to fight a full-scale war over a period of time. And it's not clear that they will recover and become the kind of pearl in the network of Iranian proxies that they have been until just a few days ago. And so they're very dangerous. They've been shooting rockets at Israel even just in the past few minutes. And there's a potential even for Iran to get involved in the mix. But the Hezbollah that we knew no longer exists.
So they have been sending more than 100 rockets a day into Israel. Now, almost all of them are shot down by the Iron Dome. But what is the extent of their capabilities? Do we even really know?
No, we don't. We know that Hezbollah had extensive tunnel networks, and some of those have been destroyed. We have no idea how many. There are reports that the IDF has been sending in commando units to southern Lebanon to destroy those, and of course reports today that the IDF plans to go just across the border and take out Hezbollah capabilities in the villages and towns there where they've built up infrastructure over the past few years. We know that the Israelis have gone to great lengths to take out their rockets and their launchers. We have no idea. I don't know if the Israelis have an idea, really, of how much of that they've taken out. But even if they've taken out as much as 50% of Hezbollah's rocket capabilities, that leaves about 75,000 different types of projectiles. What the Israelis really want to do is to take out and focus on the medium and long-range rockets, which are the larger strategic threat to Israel than the shorter range ones that they've been using over the past 11 and a half months targeting northern Israel.
Well, you mentioned Iran, and Hezbollah, of course, was built in part to help defend Iran, and for years it was considered the most powerful Iranian proxy. But according to the Washington Post, the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, quote, eviscerated decades of myths and assumptions about Hezbollah's military might, along with the stature on the organization as a regional powerhouse. What does it mean for Iran's so-called axis of resistance for Hezbollah to be so thoroughly humbled?
So look, Iran helped create Hezbollah in the get-go in the early 1980s. That's true, but not to be part of the defense for Iran. That's a misnomer. It was actually the opposite, to be an offensive capability, because the Iranian Revolution was never intended to end at the borders of Iran. It was intended to be exported, and that started with Hezbollah. Over the past few years in particular, Hezbollah has become a leader of Iran's axis of resistance, as they put it, their network of proxies, providing support to Shia militias in Iraq, to the Houthis in Yemen, to militants in Syria, and of course to the Palestinians as well, Hamas, Islamic Jihad. Losing Hamas is one thing. Losing Hezbollah is something completely different, and literally is taking out the crown jewel from Iran's proxy network. And it suggests a significant degradation of the capabilities of that network, the most capable of which after Hezbollah is quite far away from Israel in Iraq.
Matthew Levitt, your expertise is invaluable right now. Thank you so much for coming on the program. We appreciate it.